yeah, I'm Ren. I'm going to talk about social media and its role in nation building. So medyo, this is actually an interesting topic because um, we're giving depth into something that's essentially fun and some people might think shallow, such as social media, because in social media, di ba, parang um, people tend to just post their thoughts about something or they post content. But what I want to impart with you, and based on my experience also, is that there's actually some value, and there's actually you as Cebu Pacific blog packers can actually become contributors to the nation building that is most important nowadays, especially with what's been happening in the country. And actually, social media and its role in nation building, this is something that people might ask, is there really, is social media, or can social media actually help in nation building? Because when we talk about social media, or nation building, we think of these things as the way to contribute to nation building, like voting, participation in votes during national elections, participation in public discourse, filing your proper taxes, and of course, observing proper etiquette in public, such as observing proper, what do you call this, traffic rules, right? But in today's digital age, which has paved the way for a lot of conversation and public discourse to happen or to take place in social media or in digital space, how do we ensure that as responsible citizens who are concerned about our country, how can we be able to contribute to the nation building within the digital space? So this is what I'm going to talk about. And from someone who used to work for the DOT and helped build its social assets to where they were before we turned them over to the new administration, the current administration, to being business development manager, cum social media strategist for Beautiful Destinations. By the way, if you follow the Facebook page of Beautiful Destinations, I'm the one who actually manages it. So yeah, so allow me to share with you some insights on how you can take your being blog packing ambassadors for Cebu Pacific to a more meaningful adventure by thinking and recognizing that you have a stake in nation building. So before that, okay, I want to give you some inspiration lang, because a lot of the things that you will do henceforth will actually affect the tourism industry. And before I delve into like how so you can like boost your followings, or how you can create a compelling story on social media, allow me to give you some numbers and tourism numbers para meron kayo, you have some something to think about whenever you travel, and push you to become more passionate about promoting the country. So you see, tourism in the Philippines in 2015 accounted for 8.2% of the country's GDP, and its size was valued at 1.93 trillion in 2015. This was up by 14.8% in 2014. And in fact, in 2015, tourism was growing faster than the country's GDP. If I'm not mistaken, that time, the GDP of our country was running at 5.2%, so versus 14%. Tourism is actually gaining traction during that time, and I think until now. But unfortunately, we don't have data yet. I checked the website of NEDA that publishes these data, and for 2016, they haven't published it yet. In terms of expenditures of inbound visitors to the Philippines, it reached 306.6 billion in 2015, or up by 10.7% from 2015. So by expenditures of foreign travelers, we mean like their expenditure in airlines whenever they book with Cebu Pacific, for example, their hotels, ground handling, the amount that they pay their ground operators, tour operators. So that's expenditure. And then 8.2, and inbound tourism represent 8.2 of total exports of goods and services in the country. So for us to appreciate it better, we have to like put it side by side with other competing industries. So it ranked third among the biggest exports in 2015, next to miscellaneous services. So ano yung miscellaneous services? These are like the OFW remittances, and it ranked in third next to miscellaneous services and semiconductor services. So tourism during that time was even bigger than agriculture, yeah, that's correct, and electronic data processing. So imagine the boom in tourism that we have been experiencing rather in 2015 and up to now. In terms of jobs, 4.98 million were employed in tourism in 2015, or in short, 127 for every 1,000 employment were within the tourism industry. Therefore, so how do we make sense of these numbers? Therefore, what we do and share as travelers has big impact on the success of the tourism industry. It's also for this reason why when we were still at the DOT, we had embarked on projects aimed at sustaining the conversation and interest about the country. Why? Because it's only by creating stimulus such as sharing feel-good stories, success stories about the Philippines, or even beautiful images of various parts of the country, can we sustain a conversation and positive interest about a brand or product, and in this case, the country, the Philippines. And only by sustaining a positive conversation can this potentially impact our tourism industry through visitations that will lead to additional revenue and jobs to our countrymen. And where else can we carry this discussion about the Philippines other than the social space? There. I actually got this from one of our slides for beautiful destinations. So 2.5 billion, or 36% of the global population, use Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and WhatsApp. And these are the same, or the pioneering social media accounts wherein news and information are obtained nowadays. 1 in every 5 minutes is actually spent, or 1 in every 5 minutes spent on mobile is actually on Instagram and Facebook. And it is therefore logical to think that most marketers from all product spectrum, not just in the tourism industry, would utilize these platforms to market their products, diba? So there, this is what we had in mind when we brought the Beautiful Destinations team to the Philippines. We needed the influence and reach of the biggest travel and lifestyle community on social media in telling the story of the Philippines to the world, and in the process, influence the decision-making of foreign travelers in making them visit the country. So I want to show you, for those who are not familiar.
How do you get the word out about a great product like, say, a country called the Philippines? Building on the success of a never-before-seen social media and crowdsourced promo, the tourism department may have scored another hit. Because people on social media won't just take anyone's word for it, might as well get some Instagram and Facebook superstars to get the word out for you.
Beautiful Destinations is probably one of the fastest rising surrogate references or friends in social media today around the world. These guys have a following of over 10 million. As it happens, they had never been to the Philippines. We said, you're all about beautiful destinations and you haven't been to the most beautiful place in the world.
Yes, they are. CNN Philippines sat down with Jeremy Johnsey of Beautiful Destinations to talk about the adventure that was 2 years in the making.
So the story starts probably 2 years ago. We were sent photographs by Filipinos who posted on the Beautiful Destinations hashtag of the country, and having never seen it before, we were blown away by how beautiful it appeared in the images. We started to post it. We started to tell stories about the Philippines.
If Johnsey looks familiar, that's because he is. This photograph of him enjoying the waterfalls in Cebu went viral. Jeremy founded Beautiful Destinations and is a social media expert. He and his brother Tom, one of the few people in the world who has a commercial drone pilot's license, are half Scottish, half Colombian. They and the 3 others on the team, James Ralph Dyer, a 90-year-old iPhone-only photographer, Sam Calder, a videographer, and Jacob Riglin, community manager and works with DSLRs, are practically citizens of the world. The backbone of their business, data analytics.
Half of the employees within our business business are data scientists. These are guys that are experts in a field called visual analytics. And this is essentially looking at the data that comes from an image to work out what's going to perform on social media.
The DOT gave them a free hand to do what they do best.
As we've been posting content over the Philippines, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of likes and thousands of comments. People asking, where is that place? How do I get there? I didn't realize the Philippines was so beautiful. Where do I stay when I'm there? And that's...
If I had aired even just a 10-second commercial in the continental United States, it would have cost us, what, $2 million a day. But we are, for all intents and purposes, getting it just for the trip.
They were here for 10 days, but it looks like that wasn't quite enough time.
I have absolutely no doubt that these guys will be back.
I'd love to. I'd love to. We're already planning to come back, but they're nowhere near as beautiful. The people are nowhere near as friendly. The culture is nowhere near as rich. That's something that we're very passionate about, that we'd love to be able to tell more of the story of. Which seems strange because it's such a beautiful country, and when you're here, you realise how amazing it is. But when you're not here, you don't know. Mahal ko kayong lahat.
Pia Ontiveros, CNN Philippines.
Okay, so yeah, so we had our partnership with them, and they talked very nicely and beautifully about the Philippines, such that it actually went viral and received or gained the attention of the top media networks such as CNN Philippines, of course, ABS-CBN. They were featured on TV Patrol, GMA News, TV5, and local publications such as Philippine Star, Philippine Daily Inquirer, even Sunstar Cebu took notice of that. So these are their posts on their social media accounts, and also on their official channels, Beautiful Destinations. So along with millions of other stories from both Filipinos and foreign travelers, the stories of beautiful destinations have been included in various campaigns within Instagram and that are created through hashtags. So hashtags such as It's More Fun in the Philippines, Travel Stories Philippines, _Philippines have become repositories of beautiful images about the country that have been luring foreign travelers to come to the Philippines. So, like, when you click on the hashtag, it will lead you to the wealth of beautiful images about the Philippines or about any destination that you want to visit or you're interested to know more about. So therefore, as ambassadors of fun, there are two ways by which you can effectively share the fun and help sustain the interest in the country. So first is by taking beautiful snapshots of your travels, and second is by creating a good and compelling narrative. Okay, so I'm not a professional photographer, okay, but I'm a curator of yun nga, Travel Stories Philippines and Beautiful Destinations. And for a time, I felt like I've acquired this like some sort of standards of what I should feature and what image trigger reactions or comments or engagements, essentially, because a social media strategist, this is what you should be after too. These are the goals. Like the previous speakers mentioned, the virality, the engagement. These are the elements that you have to be after too if you want to be successful on social media. So I want to share with you at this point. I want to share with you like my some travel photography tips. These are just basic, actually, that you can adopt when you go out and start traveling and around the country. So first, you have to conduct a pre-trip location scouting. So what do I mean by this? Consider researching on Instagram and travel websites on the places that have interesting things to see and do. You don't because you don't like traveling naman, di ba, to a place and not knowing how to get to this destination that gives off the best view of the sea, for example. Because if you don't do that, if you don't do a pre-research, it's just a waste of time, essentially. So before traveling, do your research, talk to friends who have been there, reach out to other photographers, and become knowledgeable about which images will capture the essence of the place. When you're new to a destination, just keep your camera first in your bag and scout the area. I remember whenever we would travel to a foreign destination, and I was still with the DOT, si Secretary Jimenez would tell us not to just to relish and enjoy the place because you're new to it and you don't know if it's your last time or if there's a chance for you to come back. So if you're traveling to a new destination or a destination that's new to you, what I suggest is for you to just enjoy it, relish, roam around, see the beautiful sights, and make sure that you create a memory out of it that you will come back, that you will revisit years after. Because some travel photographers tend to shoot content right away without gaining a deeper knowledge of the area first. Because, but when we learn of the story of a place, for example, its history, its culture, its people, we gain a better appreciation of it, and that can bring positive impact on how we shoot our content. Also, by not getting excited to shoot, our eyes can better see one of the most important elements of travel photography, which is perspective, which leads me to my third tip. Perspective. Always try to find a unique angle on what you're shooting. If it's an iconic landmark that everyone has seen a million times, like the Rizal Park, for example, here in Manila, or the Kayangan Lake in Coron, and you post that photo, there's nothing different anymore because it doesn't show the world your own take or your own view of that particular destination. So try to find a unique perspective, a vantage point to capture landscape that people wouldn't typically think of. So for example, this one, may mga taga Cebu dito, di ba? So this was taken in Badian Falls. Kawasan Falls rather. Kawasan, sorry. So this is one of the parang unique shots that I've seen on Instagram because a lot of social creators would actually come up with this. And for some reason, nga, sa sobrang dami na niya, it's no longer, well for me, it's no longer unique for me. And this one is kind of unique. But of course, this one is medyo unfair to some who don't have drone because this was obviously taken from drone, using drone camera. But my point here is just to look for a new perspective and try not to imitate what others have done in the past in order for you to gain engagement and likes and comments and whatever you're after to. Next tip. So light. So wake up early, rest at noon, stay out late. So this is one of the golden rules for photography, for basic photography. I want to share with you my experience with Beautiful Destinations. So I joined them in El Nido back in May, and in my experience with them, one thing that struck me most is their dedication in waking up at dawn before sunrise to set up, and then they dress at noon, and they would come back and shoot late afternoon. Why? Because there's actually some interesting reason to it, behind it. Because light is the most important ingredient for great photography. And soft, warm morning light or light at dusk creates these amazing images. So the light generated from sunrise and before sunset, which is called the golden hour, works best because of their soft, warm tunes and eye-pleasing shadows. There's also blue hour that happens before sunrise and after sunset when the sky is still blue. So when you travel, consider this tip, and you will get one of the. I mean, you will enjoy shooting in this during these times. Also, waking up early means that you don't have to deal with a lot of tourists. Diba? Most social content creators would want to have some exclusivity of the place. For example, whenever they travel to, for example, Paris, diba? You don't want your photo naman to show some parang crowd, diba? You want to have a shot that's kind of exclusive to you. Like you feel like it's only you who were in that particular place. So that's one benefit of waking up early. You in a way you own the place and you shoot however you want it to be. So, and lastly, in contrast, never shoot at noon because ito yung pinaka masamang oras sa araw because when the sun, because it's noon, because during noon time, the sunlight is direct, and it creates more shadows, and the photo will make it harder to edit. You will find time to edit. You'll find harder time to edit your photo rather. Next step, consider the rule of thirds. Okay, you're familiar. So again, this is one of the basic travel photography tips. So rule of thirds is one of the classic photography tips, and understanding it will help you generate more balanced compositions. So how do you do it? So okay, so imagine an image being divided into 9 equal parts and positioning the subject along the crash points where the lines of the grid would intersect. So in this case, this is the subject, and it crashes on this particular line. On that one, nasa gilid din siya. So essentially, it's not, rule of thirds is like not putting your subject in the center, because they say that there's more drama and there's more interest when you put the subject on the side of the image, diba? So yon, they say that rule of thirds creates more tension, interest, and drama to the photo. And nowadays naman kasi, most cameras and mobile phones have the grid feature, which displays rule of thirds grid directly on your LCD screen. For example, yung iPhones, you just have to turn it on, and you can already shoot and employ the rule of thirds. Next tip, talk to people. So a lot of our previous speakers have already mentioned this earlier, but yes, whenever you travel, this is one of the best perks of traveling. You gain new friends in the process, and at the same time, locals know the hidden gems of a place. So talking to them would give you like unique ideas that other travelers who don't talk to them wouldn't get. So at the same time, when you talk to people, you have to make sure that you establish a connection, because you don't know that when in the future, for example, you would come back and would want to revisit. At least, diba, you have friends na in the area who could tour you again when you come back. And there are travel photographers din naman kasi who want to take their portraits, the locals' portraits. So what I would suggest is you make sure that you take time to know them personally, so that they don't feel abused. You don't make them feel abused, because like I remember there are foreign travelers from England who would take photos of the Ifugaos of north of the Cordilleras. So in his caption, this is Finn Harris, if you know him, Jack's Gap. They mentioned that actually you have to befriend others first and gain their so that they don't feel like being abused and being disrespected. So this is an example of one story from one content creator who traveled to Itbayat, Batanes. It's like the farthest island in the Philippines, in Batanes. So his story goes, we met Kuya Pepe on our second day and discussed with him our plans of reaching the Rapang cliffs on the eastern side of Itbayat. Getting to this place needs some great deal of advice from him, as he was the only person allowed to pass through private properties leading to the cliff. Although he was a marine engineer by profession, Kuya Pepe chose to stay in the island to be with his family and make a living out of tour guiding. He explained that being a tour guide has helped him with much of their expenses, and he was able to send the kids to school until they finished their studies. But aside from the fulfillment he gives his family, he also finds personal joy whenever he sees people enjoying their visit to Itbayat. So, di ba, medyo nagiging inspirational din to us who travel and meet these kinds of people who have their own stories to share. So, make sure to mingle with the locals. Next tip, add the human element. So, adding the human element actually allows viewers to get a grasp, to imagine how it would be like to be if it was them in the photo. So it adds more emotion to an image, and the viewers feel like they're experiencing the location themselves. And adding the human element also gives viewers or allows viewers to get a grasp of the scale of the land or the water. So in this case, for example, it shows you how vast the mountain ranges of this particular destination is. I think this is in Tanay Rizal at the foot of Sierra Madre. So this one is in canyoneering in Kawasan, and then the other one is I forgot. But diba, when you see some human element in the photo, it makes you more interested and makes you more excited to experience it yourselves. So that's one way also of inspiring travelers to follow your account and join your journey, diba? Next, so always bring your camera. I shared with you earlier that it's better to always scout the area first to get a good perspective of the destination that you would like to shoot. But it doesn't mean that you don't have to carry your cameras with you. Always bring out, because you'll never know what will appear on the site the moment you blink your eyes or turn your head around. Maybe while walking you would bump into something that's interesting to you, like some brilliant fire skies, a rare animal, or some random street performance, diba? You don't know, so you just make sure you have the camera on your place. Once you've scouted the area, shoot around and compare it with do lots of shooting and compare each content with the other, so that you can come up with the best content. Next, post-processing is not bad. So some people consider no filter to be an achievement. Yes, it is. But editing your photos at the same time don't do harm. Post-processing actually is an integral part of any travel photographer's workflow. Learning how to improve your photograph's contrast, sharpen image elements, soften the color tones, reduce or increase highlights, boost shadows, and adjust exposure levels will further expose the beauty of the destination. So there's no, you can actually use any post-processing tools that you want. There's Lightroom, Photoshop, VSCO, Snapseed, and what have you. So it's not bad. It actually will bring out the best in the image. But well, my personal pet peeve is when a photo has already lost touch of the reality. Diba? Sometimes when photographers tend to do what do you call this, time lapse of like a flowing river. Sometimes the river actually becomes foggy already, diba? That it has lost touch of reality. That's my personal pet peeve, because yun na nga, wala na siya. It has lost touch with reality. So as much as possible, just use these post-processing tools just to improve the quality of your photo, and don't overdo it. And lastly, get lost on purpose and enjoy. Aside from collecting good photographs, souvenirs from your travels, what makes traveling truly memorable and fun is when you let every moment surprise you. Diba, Miss Candice earlier said that you have to turn off your autopilot when traveling. That's true, because yeah, you only enjoy traveling when you sometimes when you get lost on purpose. Some of the best memories of travel are those that are unplanned, diba? Yun. One of my recommendations earlier was to do your research about the area, diba? Before the actual trip, in order for you to know how to get to certain destinations and get tips on how to get the best photographs. But once you've done this, and you still have plenty of time in that destination, go explore and get off the beaten tourist path. You have consider getting lost on purpose, because if you want to get an image that no one else has, you have to wander some more, diba? And the best way to do this is on foot or by foot. But before doing so, make sure that you know how to contact your hotel in case you get lost, and make sure that the locals approve of the place you're heading to, and that it's not something dangerous. So So yun, just bring your camera and head into the unknown. Okay, so that's actually my last travel tip, photography tip. And I've come to my last presentation, or last slide rather, because I want to end by saying that nowadays we are filled, social media is filled with negativity, right? Fake news, bad press about the Philippines that have been turning off foreign travelers to come to the Philippines, even if in reality it's not the case, diba? It's still safe in the Philippines, but the bad press has been keeping this our tourists, prospective tourists, from coming to the Philippines. So in a period where social media is seen as purveyor of negativity and fake news, it behooves people like us, like-minded people who have concern about deep concern about the Philippines and are passionate about our tourism industry, to stand up and assemble together to create a voice that's united for one cause, which is to become positive molecules. I just want to share with you that when we launched It's More Fun in the Philippines back in 2012, one of the Secretary Jimenez's strategy, and also the reason why it got successful, was because prior to the launch on social media, Secretary Jimenez talked to a lot of influential personalities on show business. So I arranged meeting with Maria Reza, Bianca Gonzalez, Ann Curtis, Tem Yap, and sino pa ba? GMA News, yun. And these people, once they had been briefed about the It's More Fun in the Philippines, converged towards that same idea of like promoting and helping the slogan It's More Fun in the Philippines reach its success, and it became actually successful, and it's one of the most successful tourism campaigns in the country nowadays, in history. So we just have to be positive molecules and make sure that we all talk highly of the country. We become ambassadors, positive ambassadors of the Philippines, because only through social media like Instagram are we able to contribute to the nation. And by uniting in several, for example, hashtags with the goal of promoting the Philippines as a destination worthy of everyone's visit, can we make sure that the tourism industry is successful as it was, for example, like 2 or 3 years ago, diba? We're not sure yet if success, like with what's been happening now, parang bumababa kasi yung tourism numbers natin, and a lot are getting turned off by what's been happening in the Philippines. So tayo as blog packing ambassadors for Cebu Pacific, let's not just aim for fun, let's also think of the people that will benefit from the good image that we will be portraying about the country, the jobs that are highly dependent on tourism, and the potential employment that it will further create. So in that regard, I would like to thank you for the time.